I sit here and I talk to the most interesting people in the world right here in front of Angelina's Pizza. I am Kit Carson, the Earl of Pizza, and tonight I've got a special guest with me. I'd love the world to get to know a little tiny bit. So without any further ado, I want to ask this gentleman, look at the camera, tell everybody your name and where you're from.
Everybody wants to sit with Kit.
I'm Bob Natter. I live up in currently Jacksonville, Florida, and he talks to the most interesting people in the world, and he's lowered himself to the lowest dregs.
So, as everybody knows, I talk to the rock stars, the heroes, and the gods. And this guy is, without a doubt, probably checks all three boxes. So, you live in Jacksonville, Florida now, the wonderful Duval County. So, where are you from?
I'm originally from Trussville, Alabama. I was born there and then joined the Navy, and that was the end of that story.
Left and never returned?
No, I never did. I came down here and decided that this place was where I wanted to live.
Yeah, right? So when was your first time coming to Key West?
I think it was when I was Atlantic Fleet Commander back in 2002.
That was right after 9/11. Was that right? Because it seems like I remember meeting you about that time.
Yeah, it was.
And so
it was after 9/11.
You were the commander of the North Atlantic Fleet.
Well, the North and South Atlantic.
North and South Atlantic. What does that entail? What does that mean to people that don't know?
It entails you got a lot of help.
You got a lot of what?
A lot of great help. And we had a great sailor fleet and Marine fleet of 160,000 great Americans.
So it's 160,000 people that are basically under your command.
They were. I'm a civilian now.
You're a civilian now. But in 2002, you were in charge.
That's correct.
And that was a hell of a responsibility.
Well, again, I had a lot of help and a lot of great help.
Sure, but you didn't get there because you weren't doing a great job.
Well, that's not necessarily so. Everybody has their flaws, and I got plenty.
You're extremely modest, and that we love about you, but I know a little bit better. You did a great job, and you were the commander for how many years?
3 years.
3 years, and that's a long time.
It was from the time the USS Cole was attacked through 9/11 and then afterwards.
Right. That was a tough time to be the commander.
It was, but it's not any tougher than it is today.
Well, every year has its issues, doesn't it?
Certainly for the Navy, because we're all over the world.
Right.
And certainly a great presence here in Key West.
And you were in charge of half the world.
Well,
basically.
Roughly.
Well, the North and South Atlantic, I mean, there's the Pacific and then the Indian Ocean.
Well, and also Fleet Forces Command, which is all the continental U.S. bases.
Okay. Is Kings Bay part of that?
What's that?
Kings Bay?
Kings Bay, Georgia is part of it, and other bases all the way from the northern part of the United States all the way to the southern part, east and west.
Wow. What is your favorite port? What was your favorite place?
You know, when you join the Navy, you pick the good places and the bad places, and I didn't live in any bad places.
You know, that's a great thing. I mean, why would you be in any bad places? Is Key West rank in the top 10?
Well, it was never my home port. In fact, I never visited Key West until after I was Atlantic Fleet Commander.
Right.
And came down here and fell in love with the place, and I still am, and that's why I'm one of the biggest supporters of Key West ever.
Well, I don't think a lot of people understand how big the Navy presence is in this town. I mean, I don't think they understand it. But I don't know how much of the economy it supports.
Well, it's significant. Not only is it significant for Key West, but Key West is significant for the Navy.
Sure.
I mean, look at where we are geographically to the southern part of America, to the eastern part, into the Atlantic, and all the way to the Panama Canal. And many of our ships in Second Fleet deploy actually to the Pacific. So, big deal.
It is a big deal.
And the Coast Guard is well represented here and play a huge part in the whole security of the southern part of the United States.
Yeah, I think most civilians, we just don't really understand it. we don't quite appreciate the magnitude of how important it is.
Well, that's because there are a lot of other issues on the parts of, on the minds of Americans. Local economy, trying to make a living, trying to get along with one another.
But it's one less thing we have to worry about.
Well, one less thing we have to worry about, I think, is the professionalism of our military. And I would encourage every young American to consider service in the United States Navy. I did it from age 17. I never intended to stay into the Navy, and well, lo and behold, I stayed in for almost 41 years.
You know, it was a consideration of mine. I looked at it, and I got a George Wallace scholarship to go to Troy, and so I decided to go to college instead. But it was definitely on my radar. I'm like, well, you know, poor kid from South Georgia with nothing to do. What are you going to do with yourself? And I looked at it, and then George Wallace gave me a free year at Troy, and I went and never looked back. You know, so. Well,
I would say that junior college and trade schools are our future. If we don't have industry in this country, we don't have much.
I think we're going to see a shortage in all that sooner than we realize.
I think we are today already in some industries, but a lot of that depends on the industry of both our government and industry itself in investing in the future.
Sure. I think a lot of the young people feel that everything's going to be either AI or robotic, and they're not going to have to do anything. And there may be some truth to that, but I think there's still going to be a lot of other work that's going to have to go into it.
Yeah, I don't care how effective artificial intelligence is. It's artificial, which means it can be changed by humans.
Right.
And it requires, look, these roads we see out here, these port facilities, everything there never can be replicated by artificial intelligence.
No.
It takes the hard work of men and women.
It can be an asset and it can help, but I don't see it completely replacing. I'm kind of with you on that. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting world in the next 20 years.
Yeah, it really is. And look at this economy in this city, for example. There's so many young people and others who are hardworking in the entertainment business and the restaurant business and the construction business, service business. They're what makes this economy work.
Sure, absolutely. You know, and I don't know where to go if we don't have them. But who knows? Well, so let's talk about what you're doing right now. What are you doing currently?
Well, I've been down here for almost 20 years with a bunch of guys. We fell in love. I basically fell in love with this place when I came down as Atlantic Fleet Commander.
Yep.
Right after I retired, I brought my family down here, spent a week, tried to relax and not get hired by somebody else to do something else. Next thing I know, Governor Jeb Bush called me and said, hey, I need your help down here with BRAC, and I've been here hook, line, and sinker ever since.
Well, you know, it's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's a great thing.
Yeah,
what a great state we have here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look, the three largest economic engines in this state. Number one, tourism.
Yep.
Number two, defense. And number three is agriculture.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a healthy state.
Yeah.
It needs to stay that way through the hard work of our people.
Right. Well, I never thought I'd live this long in Key West or in the state of Florida, and I moved here in '85, and I have no real intentions of leaving anytime soon. You know,
well, nor do I.
Yeah.
My wife, when we came down here, said, "What about California?" I said, "You kidding me? We're going to Florida."
Been there, done that. Did that in the '70s when it was a good place to be.
Yeah.
No, thank you. My wife's family lives in Sacramento, and I love seeing them, but I don't want to go to Sacramento.
No.
You know, I'm like, I have no desire to go to California anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, I like to visit there, and I do some work out there with some great Naval Postgraduate School. I help them out. Great installation, great necessary institution.
Well, you know, whenever I go out and I spend at least one day going through the Central Valley. I buy a lot of tomato products, obviously in the pizza shop. Stanislaus, Tom, and his family, and I go and I visit them. I try to go down and see those people, and I like being out there in the country and the agricultural side of California. And to me, that's still California, and I'm happier there.
Yeah, well, let me just say that I love Key West.
Yeah.
I love the society down here. I like the freedom, but also the respect for one another we have down here.
Right.
It's impressive. And I like their embrace of the Navy and the Marine Corps, JADF South, and the Coast Guard. I mean, you talk about live and let live, this is the way it ought to be in our country.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. From the day I moved here, there's a lot, I don't even watch TV anymore, but I hear a lot of things, and I don't see it here because this town just doesn't operate that way.
Yeah.
Like you say, we live and we let live. Martin Luther King said it, best in his speech, judge not by the color, but the content of what's made the man. What is your character and what is your content? And it's not your color, it's not any of that crap that everybody keeps harping on. And I think Key West does a really good job of that. I mean, I don't even think about it anymore when I'm here.
Yeah. Well, when I was a junior at the Naval Academy, I skipped class one afternoon, went up with my girlfriend to Philadelphia just to hear Martin Luther King speak.
Oh, yeah? Really?
And I was impressed. I mean, he was an honest man.
Yeah, he was.
If we hadn't had him or someone just like him at the time, we'd have been in real problems.
Right.
He believed in making progress, making it with real enthusiasm and commitment, and I have the greatest respect for him.
Well, he realized the dream that this country is, the central concept. Everybody created equal and everybody has a fair chance.
Yeah.
And not be a victim constantly or be whatever. Nowadays, everybody wants to have a title, a tag of something wrong with them. I don't get it. I'll be honest with you.
I joined the Navy when I was 17, one of 9 kids, and I needed my parents' signature.
Right.
And I like to say that if they had allowed me to enlist when I was 14, they'd have signed for me then too. It was a great opportunity, and they knew that better than I did.
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. And we have so many military down here, and a lot of the kids I know will tell me straight up if it wasn't for the military, they would have been in trouble, or they appreciate what it's done for them. It's helped them out. It's straightened them up. It teaches you so much.
Well, I can tell you, I got in trouble in the military.
Well, yeah, but you know what? But
they let me recover.
Yeah, but you've got a bit of a safety net because there's a staff sergeant or somebody that's there to put a boot up your butt and get you in line.
You got it. They did it well.
Yeah. You still got mom, you got dad, over looking over your shoulder. So you can't get. Well, you can, but most of the trouble you got in was good fun.
Yeah. Just go out on a ship, a Coast Guard ship, a Navy ship, an amphibious ship with a Marines, look around at these 18-year-olds, you say, this country's in good hands. Our youth just needs a little leadership and discipline, and they're fine.
You nailed it. They need leadership. And that's all they need. They need guidance, I mean, that's a lot of the problem. And they get it in the military. Hopefully they're still getting it in the military.
They are, trust me, they are. I got 3 daughters, all went in the Navy.
Oh, really?
Every one of them.
Wow.
And 2 of them are married to Navy SEALs today. One of them's still in the Navy. One was a helicopter pilot, another a Navy nurse.
Wow.
I mean, there's great opportunity. Well, when I first retired, a friend of mine was a retired Admiral. And he said, what do you think about this women in the military? I said, well, let me tell you before I answer. I got 3 daughters. They're in the Navy. I think it's pretty good.
Ask them how they feel about it.
And we're having problems right now with the recruitment. Think of where we'd be if we didn't allow women to come in and be women.
We would have a deficit. We'd be
in trouble.
And you know what? I don't really have a problem with them being in the military.
I don't have a problem. I embrace it. I think they should be.
Why shouldn't they be? They make up 51% of the population.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they be in the military?
Well, and I'm one of 7 boys and 2 girls, but I would argue that most of the girls have the brains, the men have the whatever we have.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Whatever we have, we're not sure, but who knows? And I agree with you. I mean, a lot of countries have what do they call it? Where they have to serve. It's not selective, but like Israel, for example, they all have to serve. There's a lot of countries where you have to put in 2 years.
Yeah, mandatory.
And I don't know if it's a bad thing.
Well, I'd love to be able to have mandatory service of one sort or another, either military and other national service.
Yeah,
but it's expensive as hell. That's
right.
the problem.
Yeah, I mean, but it would be really good if we could invest that 2 years to teach our youth how the country works.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of them get it.
Well, the beauty of national service is you get thrown into a melting pot with people from all over the country with different ideas, different color, different sexes. I mean, the whole thing is healthy.
Rich to poor, And
the younger you learn that, the better off you're going to be.
Exactly.
Before your brain gets addled like you and me.
Well, thank goodness we had I don't know if it was the smarts, but we got lucky enough to find our way in the situation to realize that there's a whole big world out there.
Yeah.
It's not just South Alabama, there's a whole world, and it's a great world.
It is.
It really is. I've enjoyed my time doing what I've done,
It's obvious.
Yeah. Well, I love what I do.
Yeah, that's the important part.
I make pizza here in Key West. How hard is that?
Well, it's pretty damn hard to do it right.
Well, yeah, it's difficult to do it right, and it's a little bit taxing, come July 4th when it's hotter than Hades, and you're standing in front of 2 ovens. But I'll take it.
Yeah,
we're in a beautiful place in the world. It's great.
Yeah, as long as you're doing something productive, community and society embrace it. It's worth the effort.
It is worth the effort, and I feel like I do a little bit of community service by being here. I think there's.
So you're trying to influence the local population with Southern Alabama influence, right?
That's correct.
I love it.
Why not? Why not? Well, I know you're a busy man, and I appreciate you sitting down and talking to me. I mean, you truly are a hero, whether you want to hear it or not. You are. You paid your dues. You did. But you did everything the way you were supposed to do it.
I don't know about that, but I got fortunate.
And you know what? It's better to be lucky than good.
Exactly.
And you've been a combination of both, and you've done very well. And I'm proud to know you. I'm super happy you sat on my show, and I'm very thankful. So before I let you run away, I got one last question.
Okay.
You ready? One last question.
Almost.
If you were a pizza, what kind of pizza would you be?
Pepperoni. Who doesn't like pepperoni?
Pepperoni. Well, there you heard it from the Admiral himself. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to Sit with Kit. That's all I got for tonight, Tim. I'm done. Thanks.
Cut.